From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martridge with Weather Weeklies.
Hey, good Sunday morning to you. This is March 8th and another edition of Weather Weeklies, and we are now starting to get toward the equinox here, where we're getting everybody's starting to think spring here. We had obviously had a large snowstorm this week that was uncommon for basically the last couple years of months in March here. We've had some, little nuisance events here and there in March, but nothing really big. But we've had a couple larger scale systems that have affected our coverage area here, both on the 1st and then again here on the 4th. And some areas are more than double normal snowfall for what March is supposed to be. So, we have still not getting rid of the shots of snow here, and unfortunately here, but I do think we're going to have a nice break here coming up here. We're going to go right into our long range pattern. Now I'm going to put this here. This is not necessarily going to be what's going to be on the website when it gets updated. The reason we have not updated the long range pattern on the website, and we're doing it here on the video, is we're in the middle of a transition to a different server. We're really just getting tired of the server crashing during high volume, and we have so many followers now. It's to the point now we link to something, a first call, second call, final call. The maps where, there's so much traffic, sudden rush to the server that just absolutely kills it. The server's big enough to hold everybody, but the problem is that sudden rush that kills it. So we're in the process of changing over to a very powerful server that can accommodate our needs, and also the cache systems will be upgraded. So in the meantime, we're going to put this here on the Weather Weeklies, and this is what we're looking at right now. For the next 10 days or so, from today through the 17th, we're looking for average to slightly above average temperatures averaging during that period. Okay, so temperatures are not really going to be too overly warm. Might be a few days that go above, some days that are still below, some days are hanging right around average. That's pretty much the rule that we're going to be dealing with for the next 10 days or so. Moderate confidence in that, confidence. And then we get into the period from the 18th to the 31st. Unfortunately, we're going to moderately below to well below average temperatures. Now, this is all relative. You got to remember, March is now in a month where the average temperature going up. By the time we get to the end of the month, we're talking about mid to upper 50s for normal highs. So if it's well below average temperatures, or you get snow, you're going to need some 20 to 25 degree below normal temperatures. The chances for snow actually decrease exponentially for each passing day in March. March is one of those months that is really difficult to get snow the longer you go. Not impossible, though. Not impossible, especially as you get northwest by 95. Okay, you get up actually well northwest. You get up by northeast PA, up in the Poconos, up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, back to Williamsport, places like that. You could still get some snow, and there has been some pretty good snowstorms that have occurred in late March. Also, Blizzard 93 being one example. That was right around the 17th of March. So obviously we have some chances here. It's not impossible to see this. Is it likely? No. So we're going to go low confidence on storms here. There's one here showing on the GFS that I'll show you in this video here. It's an overriding threat that goes over to rain, and that's all until the cold front, or the warm front, moves through. Excuse me. And then no model is showing this right here. End of month snow threat coastal low. No model is showing that currently, but I'm going to show you why. There might be something that shows up on the models in the next several days. Okay. All right, let's get into the MADDEN-JULIAN oscillation. This is the indication of the convection that's around the equator in relation to the international date line. Okay. Now, if you've been watching along during the winter here, and we've been explaining what this is, but for those that might be new watching the video here is Alaska up here. Here's North America. I'm just going to draw this here. Central America. There's Florida. There is. So you see where North America is. Okay, we're right here. Okay. So that's North America, South America down here. Here is your equator. All right, the equator just goes west to east. This is looking at the entire globe, the infrared satellite. This entire globe. Here's the equator, and here's the international date line. Okay. What we're looking for is the convection around the equator here in relation to the international date line. This right now is a phase 6 signal here I'm looking at. This right here looks to me like phase 6-ish, maybe even slightly going into phase 7. Now what this does, again, this is with relation to the international date line here. If this is a little bit further to the east and either reaches or crosses the date line, it'll actually throw heights at the western ridge and give you a big ridge out west and a deep trough in the east. And when we have that kind of amplification like that, you can get some big East Coast storms. We've been talking about this all winter long. We've had a very fast flow here, though. Fast flow because the QBO was record territory, very high. And it can't get any higher than it currently is. So it can only go one place, and that's down. So if you have a weakening El Nino combined with a QBO that is dropping, you can start getting some really good amplification here in early spring. And I think that's what we're going to end up happening, what we're going to head to as we head into late month. All right, we have big ridges out here out west and a big trough in the east here. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. Here is the model projection of Madden-Julian oscillation and what we're headed to. But one is the GFS ensembles, and this one here is the European model. Both doing the same thing. Basically, or like I said, I showed you on the imagery here. This to me says phase 6. Okay, the models are still saying that we're in phase 5. I think we're more like phase 6 right now. Okay, so the models have propagating through phase 6 and into phase 7, maybe in phase 8 here. And you see the same thing happen. These are strong signals here of phase 7, phase 8. Phase 7, phase 8 would indicate a deep trough in the northeast United States. Okay, and since they're both pretty much in agreement that they're doing this, going into at least phase 7, very strong signal of that, and probably phase 8 after that. You know, we have to at least acknowledge that this is going to have an effect on our pattern once we get late in the period, once we get past the 18th. So we go back to these dates here. The 18th to the 31st is when we're looking at these well below average temperatures. Okay, and we go into the sea surface temperatures in the west. You know, we already have the MJO, the convection that's sitting out here in this area here, throwing heights at the western ridge and allowing that ridge to increase. But you also have two circled areas here, two very warm sea surface temperatures here. That's also helping to promote the ridge out west here. And that is your EPO. That's been your what's been driving the pattern, the PDO as well. This has all been driving the pattern here, and that is going to continue, I think, unfortunately, as we get into late month. All right, we're going to go into some teleconnections. Teleconnections are different pieces of atmospheric data that all mean something different here. Here is the Arctic oscillation. Okay, Arctic oscillation right now is positive. We're sitting right here. Positive means we're going to be in the warmth for a little bit. This is your cold air source from Canada, your cross-polar flow. Here is what we're going to. You want this to be, if you want this to be cold, you're going to want to see that negative, and we do see that dip negative here around the 18th, 17th, 18th. You see that? This is 17th and 18th. At the same time, the EPO. Okay, the EPO, you'll want this to be negative as well. It's been negative most of the winter. Finally went positive, and that's why we're going to have a few days here where it's going to be above normal temperatures. But it's going to go right back to negative, get down where it was. And this is, remember how cold it was here? Now, I'm not saying it's going to be that cold again. We're not talking about below, single digits, below 0 temperatures at night, anything like that. We're talking about relative to this time of year. So even if you're 20 to 25 degrees below normal, you're still stuck around 30. It's not like you're talking about teens here. Again, is that possible? Sure, it's possible, but we're not going to forecast that just yet until we get a little bit closer and see what this does. And then we get into the NAO. This is your blocking. We have not had this all winter. It's always been positive. Models now are indicating, we're going to have some blocking now. Might have some bigger coastal storms as a result. And that's why when I go into here, I have a coastal low here threat here at the end of the month because of that. Just because the teleconnections are indicating that that's possible. Also possible, this is your ridge out west. Ridge needs to be positive in order to have a big trough in the east, and look where it's going. It's been negative, heading positive. Okay, this is model projections now. This is the GFS model projection. Doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition, but the models and the ensembles have been very adamant about this occurring here as we get into the later part of the month. So we're going to run with that and say that the end of the month is looking like that. What does that look like on paper here? Pattern for next 10 days here. The cold temperatures are indicated by the blues and the greens, and the warm. Now this is relation to normalized anomaly. So this means compared to averages of what we're expecting for this date at this time of year. This is above normal right here, right across the entire, basically the lower 48 here. Okay, the entire country just about is down here at normal around here in Texas, but above normal everywhere else. So this is what we're looking like. The pattern-wise for the next 10 days. All right, cold up here, You can see the EPO's going here. We don't have that cross-polar flow, no negative AO. This is not a winter pattern. This is more of a typical spring pattern here. Okay, but then after we get out the 18th here, because the Madden-Julian oscillation is where it is, phase 7, phase 8, because the ridge out west is not positive, and because you have blocking here up in Greenland, okay, look what happens. You get a deep trough in the east. Deep trough means cold air coming in from Canada, cross-polar flow. All right, so this is for the 18th. This is looking at the 18th verbatim, but going beyond this point, it pretty much stays locked in through the end of the month here. So we got the pattern 18th to the end of the month. There's big, deep trough over the east here. We have colder than normal temperatures, and whenever you have this big troughiness, when you have this kind of amplification like this, that's some big amplification. You can have some bigger storms here, and if you time these right, now again, it's getting more difficult. You're getting to the end of March. All right, but if you can time these just right, you can get some big storms here that will produce snow, especially northwest of I-95. So we are not giving up on the idea that we're not saying that what happened on the 4th is the last time you'll see snow this year, because there's still other chances. GFS is actually indicating this weekend there will be some. All right, now I'm not really buying in on this because the GFS is on its own on this whole idea here, where you have a system cutting to our west here, and you have a warm front with it. And once that pushes through, it changes it over to rain, but it starts off as snow here on the GFS, at least for central and northern areas. So we will have to keep an eye on that just in case, but the GFS doesn't have any support with this from any of the other models, so I think this might be a little bit of a stretch here. So we're going to leave that go for right now and just say, mention it, just the GFS is showing something, and that's it. I really don't see anything. But beyond that, there's nothing that would indicate to me that on the models that there's something brewing. But giving all these teleconnections that I showed you here, okay, that are very favorable, giving the Madden-Julian oscillation going into phase 7 and then phase 8, these are all good things. Given the sea surface temperature still being very warm, yeah, these are all things that contribute to that, and that's why we think there'll be a storm threat here at the end of the month. Now, it says no threat here, but that would be for the interior mostly. I wouldn't bank on that if you're living down by Philadelphia and points south and east. I probably wouldn't even bank on that if I lived in central areas like Harrisburg, Allentown, Sussex. Wouldn't even worry. I would just say that right now there's a storm threat, even though it says snow threat here, but we'll have to wait and see how this plays out, because right now it's not showing in the models. But like I said, there's something that could be brewing in that time frame, just based on what we're seeing right now, going forward and toward the end of the month. There's going to be definitely chances for that. The chances are presenting themselves. Now, as far as EPA-WA changes we're looking forward to, we have the MyPocket meteorologist severe season starting soon. The end of this month will be the end of the winter program, and then we're going to go right into the severe season. We're going to have a different approach this year. MyPocket meteorologist will actually alert you when a storm is heading toward your county, whether it's severe or not. So if you're outdoors and you see you have something, you're outdoors, maybe at a picnic or something, right? And you have a thunderstorm coming. Sure, that you'll have alerts come to your phone for severe weather, and now you can get those from the National Weather Service or whoever. All right, we're going to give you notification that something's coming as far as a storm heading toward the county, how long of a duration, and when it will arrive. All right, so we're going to send that directly to you as part of the MyPocket meteorologist severe season. A little bit different approach than we did last year. Last year we just gave the outlooks in advance. Now we're going to give you a little bit more. All right. So we had to come up with. We're actually redesigning everything with the website right now, and that's included in here too. We have a new forum that's going to be part of the for the premium members. This is not going to be part of Facebook. This is going to be an actual forum where you can have a threaded format, and everything is separated into categories where you can comment on different types of things and participate in the discussion. This will be for our premium members. The new theme for the website with the API, this is going to have, this is actually ongoing right now. We're actually in the middle of converting that right now with a new server for high traffic with Nginx and Varnish. And we're going to have a very, very good system in place to probably, so that we prevent crashing and during high volumes. We're just getting to the point where so many people are checking out our products that we have to have a really powerful server in order to handle that. We had the server, now we have to have the cache programs in place as well. Also, some exciting news we're going to announce this week. We have some major private client acquisitions that are in the works right now. We will announce those. These are companies that are very well known that want to do private forecasting business with Eastern PA Weather Authority. We'll announce it this week, and some of those will be really shocking to some people. Wow, I can't believe you guys landed that. Well, we're working on some things. There's several that are really big. Of course, we already are affiliated with Arts Quest and Music Fest. We're going to have some really big ones coming up here that we're going to announce this week, or that we have a partnership with. We're going to be their official private weather forecast provider to give them detailed information for all of their events. So we'll get into that as soon as we have that official. For legal reasons, we're going to keep that hush hush for now, but we will announce that very soon. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrish, and that is this edition of Weather Weeklies for March 8th, 2015. Please join us again next week. We'll have a better look at this cold toward the end of the month and see how we're looking as we head into spring for the months of April and May as well. Take care.